Do you guys want to know my favorite feature of the new MartinLogan Abyss series subwoofers? It's this. I love the fact that I could torture my family from anywhere in the house off of a remote app. We got the Abyss 8 subwoofer from MartinLogan. That's what we're going to be talking about in today's video. Hey folks, I'm Gene Delasala with Audioholics. I'm so happy that I got the Abyss 8 in here. You know, we talk about giant subwoofers. I've got a 21 in my theater room. I've got stacks of subs in my theater room. Rarely do we review or talk about compact, potent subwoofers. And this is a very critical component in the marketplace because most people can't put big box products in living spaces. And the reason why I requested a review sample of the Abyss 8 is I wanted to upgrade my system, my desktop system in my office. I just got in the Kanto TUK AMT active speakers, and I wanted to have a subwoofer that could keep up with those speakers. Now, I was using their Sub 8, which is about a $200 or $300 subwoofer, which was doing fine when I had the YU6s in that space. But I wanted to hit those lower bass notes. And it's difficult in a small compact form factor to do that unless you've got a driver that has lots of excursion, a very powerful amplifier, and a good DSP engine. And the way MartinLogan does this is pretty innovative because they give you an active 8-inch aluminum driver here. This is a high excursion driver. It's a very nice driver actually, but they give you two passive radiators that are also 8 inches on the sides of the cabinets. There's advantages to doing this. Number one is by having the 8s on opposite sides of the cabinets, it helps with some force canceling, so it reduces vibrations. Not that that's a problem in the subwoofer that has 1-inch HDF baffles. This thing is really well built. But the fact that they give you twice the cone area of the active driver means that this passive radiator system will be effective at giving you really good low-end extension, kind of like a ported system but without any chuffing. And you're getting between a 4th and a 5th order response by doing a system like this. But it was allowing me, if you look at my measurements in room, I was getting down to the low 20 hertz range with this subwoofer in my desktop system. That got me down an extra 10 hertz lower than the sub that it was replacing. This is something that is not only heard, but it's something that is felt. Now, part of the tech in this that makes this happen is the fact that they have a 64-bit 500 megahertz proprietary DSP engine. That's used for a multitude of reasons. That's used because they have this excellent app that you could go and you could do all the controls of your subwoofer. It has ARC Genesis built in, the room correction system. We've talked about that multitudes of times. And it also has a protection in it so you can't overdrive the subwoofer. You can't bottom it out, or you can't, put it into major distress. And I've torture tested this sub on various music tracks as well as sweep tones, and I didn't really get it to misbehave within its usable bandwidth. It did a really great job with that. So one aspect about this subwoofer I want to talk about is the fact that it has built-in room correction, the ARC Genesis system. Now, it doesn't come with the mic calibration kit, which is a bit of a bummer. So you either have to buy it on your own or use your Anthem processor, MRX 1140 or AVM 70 or 90, that comes with that. But there's one gripe I have about this. The fact is, unlike their receivers and processors, that you could connect with your PC remotely if you're on the same network. You have to actually plug in a USB A to C cable from the subwoofer into your laptop and then plug the microphone from your laptop into the other USB port. The problem is this calibration kit only comes with one USB A to C cable, and you need a long cable because your subwoofer is not going to be right by your laptop. They should at least include this cable with the subwoofer. If you're not going to include the mic kit, I understand it's within budget. But you know what? They give you analog cables, they give you a power cable. MartinLogan, come on, man. Please include this cable next time. I had to fish through cables throughout my house, and I had to wind up getting a direct cable from one of my microphones in order to plug the subwoofer into my laptop. That was annoying. With that being said though, I love the fact that you have the ability to arc this subwoofer, and I ran through the calibration multiple times and I compared arc on and off, and it did a very good job at flattening out the really bad bass peak I had in the 20 to 25 hertz range. Didn't really do much for the 40 hertz peak that I had, which I was surprised about. It's one of the least damaging room correction systems on the market. What I mean by that is you run it, it does the least amount of damage in most cases. Some of these room correction systems can really result in bad sound post-calibration. ARC doesn't really harm it as much. You could get good sound out of the box within 10 or 15 minutes on ARC. That's one thing I like about it. You go in and you adjust the bass contour, you adjust the room gain. What I did in my situation was I turned off the high pass filters in ARC because this sub already has that built in. I had to use some tricks with phase and stuff to really get good integration with the sub, with the speakers, but overall I was very pleased with the integration that I got. I added about a 2 to 2.5 dB of room gain, and I added some very low bass extension, and I was able to get a real flat response down to 21, 22 hertz in the sub. I was able to flatten out the peaks. I was able to fill in some gullies. Overall, the bass response looked a lot more linear with ARC than it did with it off. Now, one thing I do wish MartinLogan would do with their app would be to give you the ability to add delay to the sub, because if you're in a non-bass managed system, you don't have any way of adding digital delay to the sub if the sub is physically located in a different location from your speakers. So let me go over some of the listening results, my listening impressions with this sub, with the Kanto TUKs in my desktop space, because that's where I primarily listen to this subwoofer. So I started out with Jhené Aiko, the song The Worst, a new artist that I've recently discovered. I like her music because it has a lot of deep bass. The bass with this subwoofer, with the Abyss 8 in place of the Kanto subwoofer that I had, was really a larger scale of sound, more depth to it. And with ARC engaged, I felt like the bass was better integrated with the song, and I also felt more tactile presence because I added that little bass boost in the 20 to 30 hertz range. And overall, it was a visceral experience for me on this song, and I really enjoyed having this into the system. I moved on to Francine 13, Queen Mary. This is a great demo track for a multitude of reasons. First of all, the bass in this song is jarring. I've heard this track probably 100 times, but when that 32 hertz bass note drops in at around 24 seconds, it still surprises you, even after you've heard the song so many times. If you have a system that could truly reproduce the scale of the bass of that song, you will be rewarded. But I also love the fact that this song is just so spacious out and it's very audiophile recording. And the Abyss 8 did a great job with this on the TUKs. In fact, I got a phone call from the wife that was sleeping downstairs in the master bedroom because she felt and heard the bass. She's never complained before I added this sub to my desktop system, so now I have to use the night mode when she's sleeping, which is a nice feature in the MartinLogan app. You put the night mode on, it adds a high pass, it gets rid of that really low deep bass. The bass that you're paying for, but unfortunately sometimes not everybody in the house appreciates that, so definitely check out the night mode feature. There's actually 3 features. There's night, music, and movie. Most of the time I used music. The movie gives you a little bit more bass depth in the lower frequencies, but that's something you can do in the ARC file. So I would really recommend customizing the bass in ARC more than using the DSP settings. I think the music mode has the least group delay out of those settings anyway, so that's really the one you should primarily use in my opinion. So James Blake, Limit to Your Love, is not a song for weak subwoofers or weak speakers. So at around 55 seconds in Limit to Your Love, there's 50 to 65, 70 hertz warble tones that will torture a subwoofer or speaker that's not up for the task. Absolutely love the way the Abyss 8 handled that. It handled it with authority, it handled it with cleanliness, it didn't sound distressed. I wasn't able to physically make any mechanical noises come out of the subwoofer. Towards the end of the song, the bass dips down to like the 40 hertz range, and it resonated everything in my room. All the stuff on my wall, all my Star Trek memorabilia, I could feel and hear it resonating with this sub. It was a great experience. Check out that track if you're a bass head. I love James Blake. He's got some really good bass intense music, and the quality of his music is really good. Last up, Packed Like Sardines in a Tin Can by Radiohead. This is another one of my reference tracks. The 40 hertz bass energy in the song is just epic. This subwoofer did a great job of bringing my desktop system to new heights, or plummet to new lows in this case. Check out these tracks, guys. If you have a good subwoofer, you will be rewarded with a sub like this. I love the fact that it's only a 13-inch cube, but it's got weight to it. This subwoofer weighs almost 50 pounds. Now, it's not cheap. A major criticism about a subwoofer of this price, because it's $1,200. I know there's people on the forums that are gonna say you can get more performance from brand XYZ. Yes, that's true. You can get an HSU VF-TN1, which is a hammer of a subwoofer with that 15-inch driver, but it's a much bigger box. You can get a monoprice sub that's in a much bigger box that has more output. There's multitudes, but this subwoofer is designed to give you the maximum performance in the most compact form factor. Very hard to exceed the performance of this in a 13-inch cube. This is designed to fit as a lifestyle product, to fit under a desk or fit in a corner somewhere out of sight, out of mind. And if you could get two of these into a system, you'd be really rewarded with tight, fast bass, clean bass, good articulate bass, and it looks awesome. The radius edges on this is just beautiful. It's just a nice looking cabinet. The piano gloss, you have to be warned about. It will get fingerprints very easily. You do have another option. You can get it in white, I believe. This sub comes with rubber feet on the bottom, which is more suited if you have hardwood floors, which is what I did in my room upstairs. But if you have carpets, they do come with these little cones that you could put. So I would suggest using those in those cases. The grills look cool. They're not magnetic, so you actually have to space them and get them right into the peg holes correctly. This is a sub that's out of sight, out of mind, so leave the grills on unless you really do want to look at that 8-inch driver pumping. It's pretty intoxicating. All right, so let me talk about the back panel connections, because this has a plenty. You have speaker level connections, so in case you're setting it up with a system that doesn't have a subwoofer output, like this Denon PMA A110, for example, doesn't have a subwoofer output. So how do you speaker level when I tested it out in here? You've got RCA, XLR, you've got an LFE input that bypasses the bass management altogether if you don't want to use the bass management of the sub or in the app. You also have subwoofer out, so you could daisy chain multiple subs and you can arc and have all the subs under one arc. There's a lot of cool features on this subwoofer. Like I said, I love the app. I love the fact it's got Anthem ARC room correction. I love its compact form factor. Overall, the bass presentation on the sub was really good. It doesn't hit quite as loud or as impactful as other subs, larger subs in its price class. But in its size class, it's one of the best subs that I can recall in recent history of reviewing. I really enjoyed the Mini V when back in the day. That was a great potent little sub. This gives me elements of that performance. I think it might even mog it, if I'm using a Gen Z term. I think there's more performance in this sub. It's a little bit bigger. It's got more cone area with the passive radiators. This definitely has some advantages to some of the micro subs that are on the market. It's one of the best subs in its form factor in my experience. So guys, if you like this video, please hit the thumb up, hit subscribe. If you're considering the sub and you want to support the channel, check out our affiliate links down below. Don't forget about our Patreon channel at patreon.com/audioholics. We appreciate your support. You get direct access to me if you want to suggest video topics. And until next time, my friends, keep listening. So guys, I want to tell you about the Abyss Series 8 subwoofer here. No, let me redo that. So I did that. Okay. So my friends, we're going to be talking about the Abyss 8 subwoofer. No, I don't like that either. Radiohead. You do have another option. You can get it in white, I believe. I hope that's true. You got to check that, otherwise cut that out. Definitely one of the best. I hate to use the word definitely. So guys, this sub comes with rubber feet on the bottom, which is ideal. Let me do that again because I'm looking at you.